All righty. I think we are connected now. Good morning, Wise. Good morning. The connection was acting up. I wanted to make sure that I didn't get all the way in and it started acting crazy. I needed to switch over to a different line. Good morning, Wise. I was speaking with someone, but I needed to go out and come back in. Listen, good morning, Wise. Good morning. Happy Self-Care Saturday. Happy Self-Care Saturday. Hello. Coach T here with you this morning. I won't hold you long and take your Saturday from you. Just wanted to drop in for a moment and share a few things with my Wise. Hopefully to encourage you, to motivate you, to get you started on your day and way. And hopefully to help you make a decision to do something that you have not done before. All right? And so, today I wanted to talk about standing in, and why does her mental health matter? All right. I want to talk about that for a few moments this morning. Listen, before we do that, I just want to tell y'all that Georgia is tripping again. Okay. I did not dress for the occasion today. It's 29 degrees outside. It's 29 degrees outside. And because I am Florida ready, like, because what had happened was one of the days during this week, they had fooled us and they made us think that the sun was coming out. Right. And so I gets prepared. I gets prepared. You know, I looks for the sun to shine like I am, going to the store, or going to my favorite restaurant, or going to pick out my favorite, lotion, whatever. I gets prepared for the sun like that. And so then they came in later and said, oh, it's going to be 29 degrees. I wasn't ready. It is very warm in our home. I normally keep it very warm when it's cold outside, but I also dress and show up how I'm feeling. And today I'm feeling like it should be a summer day because I had plans. I wanted to go downtown Atlanta today. But the way that wind blowing, I'm scared if I get on the highway, my little car, it might blow me on off the road. So, yeah, that's where we at with that. Okay. So, yes, Wise, good morning, and welcome, I am going to actually start off by going ahead and praying. I'm going to go ahead and say a quick prayer, and then I am going to give you my recap for this week, and then we're going to jump into what I want to share. All right. So, Father, we bless you, God, in advance, Lord. We thank you for your faithfulness, God. Thank you for your amazing grace and mercy. Lord, I welcome you now into this live, God. And I pray, Father, for you to cover us, God, for you to cover every woman and wife that listens to this message, God. I pray that you would touch her heart in a mighty way, God. I pray that you would do something different on the inside of her, God. Stir up some things on the inside of her, God. Help her to make a decision. Help her to be intentional, God, by making a decision to do something different today, God. And Lord, I pray that you will provide the need that she needs, God, during this time and in this hour. I pray for confirmation and revelation, wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and insight, God. Lord, I bless you in advance, and I thank you as I pray and ask these things in your son, Jesus' name. Amen, amen, amen. All right. So, for the ones who may not know me, my name is Coach T. I am a Christian mental health wife coach. I coach wives who are separated from their husbands, whether they are separated by the husband is no longer in the home or the wife is no longer in the home, or they are in the home, but they are living separate lives. Most of the wives that I encounter and that I coach are dealing with some type of marital injury that involves abandonment, addiction, or adultery. And she is trying to navigate through some of that marital grief. She's trying to navigate through some of that marital grief. And so one of the things I help her to do is to confront her marital grief and to overcome it, and deal with it in the most healthiest way as she pursue her journey on her marital stand. All right. And so my areas of expertise is in the areas of mental health, marriage separation, and wife developer. I help wives to transform their lives by helping her do her inner work from the injury that has taken place in her marriage. All right. And so on that note, welcome. So y'all know I've been talking about, my job. Y'all know I've been talking about, this move and these different changes that's taking place. And, what I have concluded and what I feel like the Lord has really brought to my attention is he come to see about me. Okay. The Lord is coming to see about me. All right. He is coming to see about me. And I feel like he is saying, just hang on in there. Just hang tight. Have a good attitude and just wait. I'm coming to get you. All right. I'm coming to see about you. And so that is all I have to say about that. All right. I have made a decision not to fuss, complain, not to barf and be, all unjust and uneasy about the situation about work. It is what it is. We had a great run. In the past, but now we are in another place. All right. We are in another place. I feel like God is saying, I've been hearing him say a lot, we are in a new era. This is not just a new season. This is a new chapter. And so, when we start a new chapter, that means things are changing. Things are changing, and you may not necessarily know, how to really, roll with the changes. You may not necessarily know how to navigate through those things. Some things it's unknown because you've never been to this place before. And so that's what I have concluded. I have concluded that the Lord is going to come and see about me there, and it won't be long. Okay. Now, I've also had the opportunity to speak to a few wives this week, and I want to just talk about that for a moment. Just kind of recap what I got from my wives. I'm really trying to start to record the data and really try to really just notate what I am getting, and just trying to see how it all flows together when it comes down to wives and what they're dealing with and what they're going through on this journey. And so what I have got a lot is too many wives are becoming hitmen. Too many wives are becoming hitmen for their future, right? Too many wives are becoming hitmen. And when I say hitmen, they are literally destroying their marriage with their words. Okay. And so you gotta stop placing word curses on your marriage, right? Okay. You gotta stop placing word curses on your husband. All right. You gotta stop doing that, okay? Because what's happening is you are endangering your future. You are literally endangering your future. The enemy, all he needs is you to come up against your marriage. All he needs is your, disagreement. All he needs is you to, say this or say that or whatever. He don't got to really even, send his little demon friends to come for you, because he like, cool, she doing that all by herself. she handling that all by herself. And so I just want to come on today and just be a reminder. Why stop that? Okay. Don't you be the one out here putting word curses on your marriage, or even putting word curses on your husband. We say things sometimes a lot out of anger, out of frustration, And then the Lord brings your husband back home or restore that marriage. And now you don't put all those word curses out there. And now the man all broken and torn down. And now y'all can't even enjoy y'all future like you really want to because you were so mad in this season. And so I just want to caution you. I want to caution you guys to be really, really mindful of the words that you speak out your mouth concerning your marriage, and really be cautious about what you say about your marriage, about your husband, and what you come in agreement with. Even when it comes down to your heart, just really being mindful of your heart motive during this time, because the heart can trick us. It can really trick us. And when you are going through hard stuff and you're going through pain, you will say some things that you like, I probably shouldn't have said that. It's already out there. Lord, please forgive me. But it's almost like that broken glass. Like once that glass is broken, you cannot put that glass back together. You already done put it out there. You can ask God to, cover it, ask for forgiveness, but just try to be mindful what you just ask God to put a trap over your mouth so you can be careful about that. And so that's what I have to say about that part. And lastly, before we get into it, what we're going to get into today really is, I want wives to also understand you have to allow God to manage your emotions, your will, and your mind in this season. All right? This is not a negotiable. Non-negotiable, all right? You have to allow God to manage your emotions, your will, and mind, all right? What you also have to understand, wife, is until God either restores your marriage, okay? Until he either restores your marriage or releases you from your marital assignment, you are going to encounter the highs and lows of grief. Okay, you are going to encounter. I bought my little graph with me today because I'm going to be using this a lot today. You are going to be encountering these things on a regular. What your job is to manage that. All right, is to allow God to help you manage that. All right, your job is to allow God to help you manage that. And so that's what we're kind of going to talk about a little bit today. I'm going to kind of go in there a little bit more deeper as we go on. So listen. There are three important parts of your journey. Number one, you have your level of faith. Number two, having an ear to hear God. And number three, support along with accountability. These are the three most important things on this marital restoration journey. Okay, this is the word that they use in marital restoration journey. These are the most three important things on this journey. Okay, you need faith. Okay, you need faith on this journey, because if you don't believe that God can't do this, then what are you doing? Right? If you don't believe that God can turn things around, if you don't believe that God can change your marriage, if you don't believe that God can save your husband, then what are you doing? You have to have faith on this journey. All right. The next thing is you need to be able to hear God. And the reason why you need to be able to hear God, because the instructions that he gives you is imperative. It's like, if you don't get the instructions from God, you're not going to really know how to truly navigate on this journey in the most successful way. All right. You're not going to really know how to navigate through this. And so this is one of the reasons why I emphasize to wives, you got to hear from God. Yes, you need his word. Yes, you need to study you need to study his word. Yes, you need to know what the scriptures say, but you need to be able to hear from God. All right. And then lastly, the support along with accountability, you need guidance. And you need the right source of counsel. Okay. This is huge. Because this is a place that can make you or break you on this journey. All right. This is the place where a lot of times wives feel like, oh, I got it. Me and God. And God like, but I'm placing people in your life or on your journey, on your path to help you. Okay. So wives have to learn how to tap into the support that God is providing. Listen, let me say this. I get this so much. I get some of the wives who tell me, well, God, I feel like God has told me this, and I feel like God, is telling me to do this, and I feel like God. If God has told you to do this journey, if God has called you to this stance, if God has said, this is what I want you to do, if this is your assignment, stop saying that, well, I'm just making a way for God to make, I'm just making a way for God to provide. God has already provided. The moment he has told you, this is what I want you to do, this is what you need to do, God has already provided. What you have to do then, wife, what you then have to do is to tap into where are these resources going to come from then? God, where do you want to start leading me to get the necessary resources that I need to get so that I can start doing this journey in the most healthiest way? Okay. And I hear this a lot. A lot of times wives are saying, well, I know God has called me to this. I know God, I even have some wives who say, I know God has told me that, you're supposed to be my coach, but right now I'm just not financially able to move forward with the coaching because of, whatever their financial situation is. And I just want to just come and say today, that is not correct. If God has called you to this stance, if God has called you to this journey, God is going to make a way. God is going to provide. Your job is to look into what it is. You have to go in deeper with, well, God, what is it that you want me to do? Or how can I place the funds aside to be able to do this journey? How can I start to, put whatever I need to put to aside to start doing this journey? All right. This is part of you going deeper and going in deeper with God. All right. Hearing God is not enough because you can hear God clearly. Okay. Hearing God is part of this journey. It's an extremely important part of this journey, but you need more than just hearing God. Okay. It is not until you, act on what you hear that matters. Okay. So you can hear God all day long. God can give you instructions all day long and say, you need to do this, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that, whatever. He can give you that all day long, but it's not until you actually act on what he has told you or what you have heard him say. It is not until you actually do something about it. Okay. That's the part that requires counsel. That's the part that requires you to do something different. That's the part that requires you to go in deeper. That's the part that requires one to, push past themselves. Okay. Look at this journey as going, and I always try to, reference it to like a exercise class. Okay. Sometimes when you first start out on that exercise journey, you like, I'm all in, I'm ready, I'm good, I'm good to go. And you get there that first day and you be like, I ain't gonna make it. I am not gonna make it. Okay. I am not gonna do well on this. And it's not until you start to work that muscle where you start getting better and better and better and better over time. This is what this journey is about. All right. This is what this journey is about. One of the things that I have seen a lot is wives not working that muscle. Wives getting a little bit of information or just getting information and they just have information and they're not doing anything with it. And it's like you have to process through that. You have to process through some of that stuff that you are receiving. Just listening to a video and taking a course is not enough. You now have to take that stuff and do something with it. You now have to take what you have gotten from your coach and actually utilize it and do something else with it. All right. Believing that God can do things is not enough. Okay. But putting action behind it is what's going to make the difference. All right. You can say all day, oh, I got faith. Oh, I got faith. I got faith. But what does the Bible tell us? Faith without works is dead. It is not until you actually put action behind what you believe that's going to push you to that next place. Okay. And then so the next most biggest step on this journey, or at least the most important step, because like I said, this can either break you or make you, is getting that support along the way with accountability. Okay. Because what you do while you're standing is going to determine how you move forward on this journey. What you do is going to determine how you move forward. If you are just sitting somewhere in the dark, kind of like, I'm just going to read my Bible. I'm just fasting. I'm just, some people call it manifesting. If you're just doing that, okay, and that's all you're doing, you have to understand. You have to understand that that's not enough. That is not enough. Not on this side of these bars, all right? Not on this side of the bars, okay? The moment God has given you instructions, wife, the moment God has given you instructions concerning your marriage, your only job at that moment is to follow pursuit. The moment God has given you instructions concerning your marital injury, concerning your marriage situation, concerning, the situation that's going on with your husband, whatever he has, advised you to do. Once he has given you that instruction, your job from that point is to follow pursuit. Your husband is at the mercy of Jesus Christ. Wives have to understand that. Your husband is not in your hands. Your husband is not, it's not about, oh, I got to be here and do this for my husband. No, your husband is at the mercy of Jesus Christ on this journey, okay? And so sometimes I get wives who say, well, how am I supposed to really, do this marriage thing or even try to get better if my husband is not on board? Your husband wasn't called to this assignment. Not necessarily. God didn't speak to your husband. All right. God told you to do this. And so since God told you to do this, your job is to follow pursuit. Your job is to go through the necessary steps that God has called you to do. All right. Your husband is at the mercy of Jesus Christ. And you wife, are now on a mission to discover why God has chose you for this race. Okay. You now, good morning, are on a mission to discover why has God chosen you for this race? Okay. Sometimes standing in its simplest form, is just what it means. Okay. When you are standing in the gap for your husband, when you are standing in the gap for your marriage, you are only standing in the gap for your husband's salvation. Normally, when God has asked you to stand for an unhealthy marriage or to stay in an unhealthy marriage with a husband who you have every biblical reason to leave, it has a lot to do with that husband's salvation, okay? And so literally standing in means just that. You're simply just standing in. You're standing in the gap for your husband, okay? And sometimes that's all God's asking you to do, okay? You're not on a mission, wife, to go after your husband. You're not on a mission to tell him that I'm standing for our marriage. You're not on a mission to, make him notice you. You're not on a mission, even if he's in the home, to go through his things, to question him. You're not on a mission for this. You're not on a mission. You're not on a mission to investigate him. You're not on a mission to put trackers on his cars. Okay. That's not what your mission is. You're not on a mission to study him on social media. You're not on a mission to, figure out what him and the other woman got going on. That's not what your mission. You're not bargaining with him. You're not trying to compromise with him. You're not trying to do anything. All you are there to do, my wife, is stand in. You are standing in the gap for your husband's salvation. And during this time, especially for the wives who are in the home with their husband, and they share the same bedroom or they are in the same bed, you have to understand that part is very, very fragile. It's very, very fragile. And you have to make sure that you are hearing clearly from God, because sometimes you can be hearing from God, but you laying next to your husband every single night. It can get kind of tricky, it can get kind of tricky. And so this is why it's so important, why I always encourage wives, especially if you are in the room, in the house, in the bed with your husband, you need some type of accountability. You need some type of support, because you need to know how to balance those things out, okay? If your husband is, he's doing all kinds of stuff, but he like, I ain't sleeping in no other room, I'm gonna sleep right here in the bed next to you, but he out here doing stuff and he's tricking around and he's doing all kinds of stuff, you need to be hearing from God on another level, okay? You need to be hearing from God on another level, because one of the questions that always come up a lot of times with wives is, well, my husband and me, we sometimes are intimate, or my husband still want to be intimate with me. And I always tell you, I am not on here to say don't sleep with your husband. No, I am telling you to use wisdom and to consult God. Use wisdom and to consult God. But you have to understand when you are in that type of position, you have to understand, this is where that word vulnerability comes in play. Sometimes when you're in those type of positions, you have to understand that you may get your heart broken over and over and over and over and over again. And so this is why I tell wives, tread lightly in that area. If you're going to be in that position, let you be in that position because God has given you the okay. If God says sleep with your husband, yes, sleep with your husband. Right? If God is giving you that, yes, sleep with your husband. Okay. You have to understand this stuff is fragile. We know what the Bible says about, not withholding from your husband. But if your husband out here sleeping all around with different type of women or whatever, you need to know what God says about sleeping with him. You need to know if God is saying this is a go or not. Okay. And so I just tell wives, tread lightly, use wisdom, consult God. Okay. Coach, she is not in a position to tell you whether or not to stay whether or not to sleep with your husband or to not sleep with your husband when you know that he's cheating and when you know he's running the streets. I am not in that position to do that. What I tell you is, you have to understand this is where vulnerability comes in play, and you will get your heart broken over and over and over and over again. But if God has did it, if God has allowed it, if God has said so, if God has said, go with it, then you have to understand you are in that place or in that position for righteous sake. You are in that position because God has allowed you to be in that position, and he will give you the strength to get there, and he will cover you and protect you on that journey as well. All right. And so I'm going to leave that right there. So the next thing is, what should you be doing in the meantime? What should you be doing in the meantime? What should you be doing while you wait on God to save your husband? What is it that you need to be doing while you are waiting on God? And the answer to that is whatever God tell you. Whatever God tell you, whatever God is telling you that you need to do. Okay. What I coach my wives and what I tell my wives is, you should be working on yourself. 1, pursuing your other earthly assignments. 2, and lastly, but definitely not least, you should be living. I'm living my best life. Come on now. I'm living my best life. So many wives think that life is over because they are, going through a separation. Or so many wives think that their life is on hold or on pause because, things are not really good with me and my husband. No, you should be living, wife. You should be living. All right. This is one of the most important things on this journey that wives must get. You have to understand life doesn't stop or go on pause because you and your husband are going through a disagreement, or y'all going through a fragile season in your marriage. No, you should be living. All right. Fixing you should be prioritized. All right. Going after your purpose should be prioritized, and prioritizing you, wife, your life, your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, your physical health. This should be a priority. This is what you're doing, wife, on this downtime. This is what you're doing. I think I heard our pastor say one time, when you're going through a season of abandonment, or you're going through a season of, where, you feel like, you out here all by yourself and you all alone. That is the time when you need to be doing your work. That is the time you need to be doing your research. That is the time you need to be doing your studying. That is the time you need to be going in deeper with God. This is what you're supposed to be doing, wife, when you're going through a separation. So many wives get caught up in, well, if he's doing this, I'm going to do this too. Well, if he's got this going on, well, I'm going to do the same thing too. Well, I'm going to just, copy what he's doing, and I'm going to do my own thing over here too. Or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that. I'm going to get me somebody too. I'm going to do these type of things. And it's like, you're missing it. It's like, you're missing it. So why then say that you're standing for your marriage if you're going to do those types of things? Okay. You are missing it doing it that way. You are missing it going that route. Okay. So my question is, what is your reason, wife? What is your reason for getting up every morning? What is your reason for getting up every morning? That is a question you need to begin asking yourself every single day. What is my reason? What is my reason for getting up every morning? You need to have something that you should be pursuing. You need to have something that you need to be going after of. You need to have something that you need to be, running down. You need to have a reason for why I'm getting up doing this. Okay? I'm getting up doing this. Wives have to find out how to continue to show up for themselves each and every day, over and over and over and over and over again, in the most healthiest way. Okay. Like I said in the beginning, you have to understand, until God brings complete restoration to this marriage, to your marriage injury, until God, restores that marriage fully or release you fully from this assignment, you are going to encounter grief. You are going to encounter different highs and lows. You are going to encounter those things, and you have to be mindful of allowing God to manage that for you, because you cannot do this on your own. All right. You cannot do this on your own. Your marriage issues cannot be the only thing that you wake up to. Your marriage issues should not be the thing that you go to bed with. Your marriage issue should not be the thing that you walk around with all day. No, you have to learn how to draw your strength from the Lord and call out for his help. You have to draw your strength from the Lord and call out for his help. Demand your peace. All right. The Bible tells us you get that peace that surpasses all understanding. You want to demand your peace. And when you get it, hold on to it. Hold on to it. That was one of the things I struggled with a lot. It's like I would have moments on my journey. I know God would, give me peace about a thing. And it's like, as soon as he been and gave me peace about it, I go my butt back over there and tiptoeing over there again. Like, what you doing? And it's like, I'm back over it again. So now it's like the trying to come out of that a second time or a third time, it's harder. And so it's imperative, wife. It's imperative that you grab a hold to God on this, on this journey. And it's imperative that you allow him to be your strength. You're not going to get a lot of times what you are putting out from that spouse, especially for the ones who are dealing with their spouse. And I'm talking for the ones who are like dealing with their spouses on a level of, you guys are still, interactive with each other. You guys are still sexually involved with each other. You guys still see each other from time to time. I'm not talking about the ones who don't have no contact. Okay. I'm talking about for the ones who are up close with their husbands. They still trying to figure out this thing. They're still, we living in separate homes, but we still dating. We're not on the same page, but we still trying to work through our marriage differences. You have to understand what you are putting out. You're not going to get that same thing in return because it is you, wife, who's doing your work. It is you, wife, who God has called to this, not necessarily your husband. And so a lot of times what I get from wives is they're expecting their husbands to respond how they're responding, but they're the ones who's doing their work and their husbands are not. So you cannot be holding your husband accountable to something and he's not doing that. He's not doing his inner work. He's not necessarily doing those things. You are. You made a decision to do those things. And since you made a decision to do those things, you cannot expect him to respond the same way that you're responding, okay? Your circumstances may not necessarily change right away, okay? They may not necessarily change right away or as quickly as you would like them to. But you have to find your reason for getting up each and every morning until you find a level place to be planted, all right? You have to find your reason. You have to understand you are not necessarily going to get what you put out to an unhealthy husband who is addicted, who has abandoned, who is out there doing adultery. You're not. All right. And so, earlier this week, I had spoke to one of my clients. I had a session this week, and I spoke to one of my clients. I call her my G client, aka God's girl. All right. And I was so happy to hear how she bounced back after having a rough month. I was so happy to see the difference in her, the changes in her. And I see how she allowed God to minister to her. And I see how she allowed God to, build her up. And I see how she allowed God to, be her strength, after having a very, very hard month. And no, not necessarily her marital injury had not changed. In fact, from what she shared, it seemed like it had worsened. But she refused to allow it to affect her. She made a decision to persevere. She made a decision to you know what? Regardless of what's going on right now, I'm going to still push through. I'm going to still push through this. All right. And, I took that from what she did or what she represented. It was 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 4 to 8. Okay. She did 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 4 to 8. Now I want to read that. I know we just celebrate Love Day on Tuesday, but this Bible verse can be, read any time of the year. All right. And we are still in love month. So I actually want to share this. And so this is 1 Corinthians chapter 13 verses 4 to 8. And it reads, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself. It is not puffed up. It does not behave rudely. It does not seek its own. It is not provoked. It thinks no evil. It does not rejoice in iniquity, but it rejoices in the truth. Love bears all things. Love believes all things. Love hopes all things. Love endures all things. Love never fails. But whether there are prophecy, they will fail. Whether there are tongues, they will cease. Whether there is knowledge, it will vanish away. Okay? The whole point of this is love never gives up. All right? What this wife was doing, basically what I got from her was she was standing in. Okay? This is what standing in consists of. Okay? She basically said, I'm just standing in. This is what you are doing when you are standing in a gap for your husband, and God has told you to love your husband. God has told you to stay in that unhealthy marriage. God has told you, to be there. God has, told you to be still. This is what you're doing. You are standing in, wife. You are standing in, all right? Every reason you have to leave this husband, every reason you have to turn the other, to go the other way, but instead you have made a decision, okay? That unhealthy, that bad choice, that cheating, abandoned, or addicted husband, God is asking you to 1 Corinthians chapter 13, 4 and 8 him. All right? He's asking you to stand in. Now, let me share with you what gets in the way of standing in. What gets in the way of standing in. And these three things, all right? The three things that come, that gets in the way of standing in is, it comes from the soul side of you. It comes from the soul side of you. Your mind, that's the rational part of you. Your emotions, that's your heart. Your will, your desire, your appetite, your wants, okay? These are the things that stand in, the way of you standing in for your, for your marriage. These are the things that kind of interfere with, you standing in. And wives have to understand it is not until you fully surrender these three things over to the Lord. It is not until you fully surrender these things over to the Lord that you are able to fully and successfully stand in the gap for your husband. You're not going to be what you need to be, wife, successfully for your husband until you learn how to surrender these things. Okay. I had a colleague ask me, why, Coach T, why do you call yourself a mental health wife coach? Like, why you just didn't say, you're just a wife coach? Why do you call yourself a mental health wife coach? And I explained to her, because I understand what these wives are feeling, I know what they are thinking. I know how they may be reacting if they're not properly restrained, okay? And so this is why I call myself a mental health wife coach. I have literally been in the shoes of most of the wives that I coach. I have literally have walked through some form of their journey, okay? And this is why I call myself a mental wife health coach. It consists of the emotional side, how you feel, how you respond to stress. It's the psychological side, how you are getting through, and how you can make, the best decision for you. It's the social being side, how you are acting or relating to others. Wives who are separated from their husbands are going through a mental breakdown. They don't even know it, but they are. They don't even know it. And I always tell wives, the goal of the enemy is to keep you broken down. The goal of the enemy is to keep you in that low place. The goal of the enemy is to take you out. The goal of the enemy is to keep you in that place where you don't get up from that. You don't get up from that. And it doesn't matter how many times she says, oh, I'm okay. I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm getting through it. I'm maintaining, I'm okay. She is going to go around this grief chart several times, like I showed you earlier. She's going to deal with these things, okay, on a regular. She's gonna deal with those things on a regular, unless she is being intentional about giving her thoughts, her emotions, her will over to God. He has to be the manager over your grief. God has to be the manager over your grief. If you are trying to handle that on your own, if you're trying to walk through that on your own, if you're trying to just pray yourself through that, if you're trying to just fast yourself through that, if you're trying to just sing yourself through that, and you're not necessarily talking through some of that stuff, or you're not necessarily talking with somebody who really understands you, you are keeping yourself on that cycle longer than what you have to be. You are going through that motion over and over and over again. Now, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to deal with it. You're going to deal with it until God fully restores it. But the thing about having support and accountability on the way is, now when those things come up, you can cut it off at the start of it. It won't be no long lasting, like, we're gonna be on this roller coaster ride for like, oh, here we go again. Oh, here this feeling come again. I'm gonna sit here for a week in depression. I'm gonna be, going up and down with this, for a whole nother 30 days. No, it's like at the sound, at the drip of, that moment coming, it's cut off. All right. It's cut off because you have allowed God to be the manager over that. All right. You have allowed God to be the manager over that. And that's why he places people on your journey, wife, to hold you accountable to your mental health. Okay. Wives, this mental health thing, I know, mental health is like a widespread thing. It has, definitely increased since COVID, but wives really don't understand that they are going through a mental breakdown when they're dealing with a separation in a marriage, because it's a loss. It's something that you once had, and now you don't no longer have it, and now you're trying to figure out how I can get this back. You're going to deal with different type of emotions on this journey, and so this is why it's so imperative that you do get the necessary help that you need. All right, listen. I always tell y'all, Coach T didn't just get here. I didn't just arrive to this place, okay? No, I come on here each and every week, and I am literally sharing with you my chronicles. I am sharing with you. That's why I call on my YouTube, Marriage Chronicles by Tanika. These are my chronicles. I can talk about this so freely and so effectively and so fluently because I live this. I walk through this. I have experienced this. I can tell you about what you're going through. All I have to do is just hear a person. When I sit with ladies in the consultations and I hear her story, it's almost like, oh my God, I literally can hear and know exactly what she got going on at that moment. Okay. And so I have experienced and encountered to some degree of some of the things that you, wife, have experienced. So I understand. And I think that's one of the reasons why I can be so transparent with wives, because I do understand. I do understand. And lately, my prayer really has been for God, for the ladies that I work with. My prayer really has been, God, cut their time in half. Okay, really just cut their time in half. Impartation is real. Okay, another person's pain can truly help someone else. Another person's pain can help someone else. And my prayer for the wives that I work with is, Lord, please don't allow this wife to go through half of the hell that I went through. Please don't allow her to go through all that stuff that I went through to get what she needs off of this journey. All right. And so I said it to say, wife, it's important. It's important that you get the necessary help that you need on this journey. I want to encourage you, as always, to sign up for your consultation. I want to encourage you to take that first step. After you sign up for your consultation, we sit down, we walk through that. You have options. You have options for that. No, Coach T is not one of those coaches who just kick you off because you can't afford her buoyancy boost. So her buoyancy boost, I know, is going to be the most effective curriculum coaching for you, right? But after the consultation, if you're not able to necessarily do the her buoyancy boost right away or at that moment, I do allow wives to still check in. You check in as much as you need to, as many times as you need to, until you get to that place where you need to be. All right. So after you sign up for the her buoyancy boost, which is the footwork. I said the her buoyancy boost is the footwork. It's the groundwork. It's a foundation. It's the starting place for your healing. This is the beginning stages of your healing. Her buoyancy boost is a 6-week self-care, soul care wife curriculum, wife developer that help wives transfer their lives and begin walking in their own lane. Okay, this curriculum helps wives to really regain themselves again, regain their identity, regain their self-worth, regain, what they have lost, during the years of going through trauma in a marriage, or going through, different trauma from, maybe even from past relationships. Okay. This is what her buoyancy boost does. Okay. So it really does help wives to walk through these steps. It helps the wife to face the weaknesses in her life, some of those insecurities that she may have been dealing with or have even been struggling with, that she's kind of tucked away and I don't really want to deal with it no more, whether that be something from her past or from her present. The goal is for her to confront, for correction to come about, and for the wife to remain consistent on this journey. Okay. In the most healthiest way, so she can walk into her future in the most healthy and authentic way. Okay. that's going to take more than just a 1 month check-in. That's going to take, let's sketch some time out. This is where your self-care comes in. Let's sketch some time out, and let's really, really focus on prioritizing. Good morning. Let's really, really focus on prioritizing you. All right. And that's what her bonus boost is your 6 weeks sketch out time for you to focus and work on you. All right. And so her bonus boost is for the wife who's serious about making changes and moving forward on her journey. After a while, I always say, good morning. After a while, I always say, your heart will stop hurting. Your heart will start hurting, and you will get tired, wife, of talking about your husband. When you're seeing that things are kind of like stagnant, with him, and nothing really happening, moving. And I always tell wives, usually when you know that you are doing your work and you know that you are really, really, going after God and you doing everything that God has asked you to do, and nothing has really changed in your marriage, that is God's way of saying, I'm trying to draw you closer to me. I'm trying to get more of you. I want more of your time. I'm trying to get you, you near to me. I want to pour into you a little bit more before I do anything in your marriage. Okay. A lot of times these wives are on this journey for a long periods of time, and they're not understanding why nothing has happened. And it's like nothing has happened. Why? Because you haven't necessarily made decisions to invest in yourself and do anything about your situation. Okay. And so when I hear wives tell well, I'm waiting on God. I'm like, wrong answer. No, God is waiting on you. All right. God is waiting on you. You will get tired. You will get tired of talking about your husband. You will get tired of, just, doing the same thing over and over and over again. And you will be ready for something different. And this is why I offer the Her Bonus Boost, because the Her Bonus Boost allows the wife to walk in her own lane, to keep living life, to keep prioritizing herself, to keep getting better, to keep getting healthier, and to keep going after God as she trusts God with her marriage, as she trusts God to do what he said he's going to do. It's not saying that I'm giving up on my marriage. I'm not that coach to tell you, just throw in a towel. I encourage my wives to stay with their husbands. Every single time I meet with my wives, one of the questions I always ask them, did God give you any new instructions concerning your marriage? Did God tell you anything differently about your marriage? Have God spoken to you or given you any new instructions concerning your marriage? I ask that question every single time I meet with wives, because it is important. It is important because God is always speaking. But God wants to, as you surrender, as you submit, as you go deep with him, as you go low with him, he is going to bring new revelation about your marriage. But he is constantly monitoring that heart. And so this is why it's so important for wives to understand that. All right. I encourage you, wife. I want to share this quick transparency moment from a wife that participated in Her Bonus Boost recently. And what she said, it just really, really stood out to me. She said, I could have taken this money. And I could have used this to, run the streets, to, go buy drugs and alcohol, to go lay up with other people. I could have taken this money to, go get, help in another way that may not necessarily have been pleasing to God. I could have been in a mental institution somewhere laid up, rant myself crazy, trying to, maintain this thing. But instead, I made a decision to invest in myself. In myself. And so this is why I'm always encouraging wives. When I come on here and say, make sure that you are prioritizing yourselves, wives, make sure that you are doing something for yourself. This is part of that. What you need God to do in your marriage, hear me on this, wife. What you need for God to do in your marriage, you would not get only from a Sunday's lesson. You would not get only from just listening to a video. You would not get only from just signing up for a one-time consultation. You need more than that. And if you are not that one who's trying to live that mediocre life, but you really, really are trying to go in deeper. Good morning. You really, really are trying to go in deeper. You really, really are trying to really go after God. I tell you this again. You need more than just a one consultation, a one check-in, a video here and there, a course here and there. This needs to be a consistent thing. Until it becomes a lifestyle. I always say his wife, which is where I, hashtag his wife, is not just a one-time thing. This is not just like a one-time thing. This is why I walk with wives as long as I do. This is a lifestyle. God is trying to develop you, wife, not to just be his wife, but he's trying to develop you to be his wife, the bride, okay? You're not just walking on this journey as your husband's wife. God's not just trying to perfect perfect you to be your husband's wife. He's trying to perfect you to be his wife, the bride, the church. You are a representative of Christ in whatever situation that you're in and whatever you do. And so that's why when I tell wives, go back and read 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verses 16a and 17. Whatever God has assigned to you to do, you are to represent him. God has not called you to this journey, wife, only for your husband. That is part of it. That is part of it. But that's not the only reason. God wants to develop you, transform you. He wants to grow you up. He wants to mature you. And then he wants to speak to you. He wants to use you. He wants you to serve. He wants you to go after other things. And so you cannot get stuck on just my husband, my husband, my husband, my husband, my husband, and think like that is it. You have to understand that there are other earthly assignments that God has called you to. There are other things that God has called you to do on this journey. And so you are, wife, you are standing in for your husband's salvation. You are standing in the gap for your husband. But you also have to make sure that you are maintaining your mental health, because your mental health matters. And maintaining your mental health meaning, I need to go after God. I need to prioritize my mental health, my emotional health, my spiritual health, my physical health. I need to go after my purpose. I need to go after my life. So many wives stop living once this happened. And it's like, this ain't the time for that. All right. This is the time you want to live. Okay. I have this one client, and she is like, I'm really enjoying this sweet spot with God, because she recognized that, once she, and I had another wife that I can back that up with. She recognized that once her husband comes home, it is different. Well, I actually had a wife who experienced that. She said, I noticed that, now that my husband is, around and here, my schedule has changed, and I'm not able to put in that time with God like I used to. And because I'm not able, I don't necessarily get to, sit with him and hear from him like I used to. Because once your husband comes home, you have to understand your schedule changes. It's a changed situation from there. You don't do the same things that you do when your husband is outside of the home versus when he's inside of the home. And so these are things that we talk about and we walk through the Her Bonus Boost curriculum. All right. And so I always want to encourage you guys, sign up for Her Bonus Boost. You can sign up at my website, www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com, www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. Now listen, I always try to encourage you guys, make sure that you are prioritizing yourself. Make sure that you are doing something that you enjoy doing. Make sure that you go out and enjoy your Saturday. Do something that you want to do. Do something that you want to do. If you want to be connected to my email, if you want to be connected to my email list, I do offer a 10 question assessment where I help wives to see, just kind of see where you are on your journey. Like, are you really, really ready to be his wife? Are you really, really ready for your husbands to return? And I will share that link, down below if you want to be a part of that. But in the meantime, prioritize yourselves, wives. Do something different that you have not done yet. All right. Sign up, www.marriagechroniclesbytanika.com. All righty. Y'all have a happy self-care Saturday, and Coach C will see y'all on the other side. All right? Blessings.